Hello, everyone. Welcome to Aging and Spirituality, where we share as many ways as we can to help everybody, including ourselves, live more fulfilled lives, happier lives, and more lives filled with love and inner strength. I'm Chris Jensen.
Hi, I'm Kathy Lee Taylor.
We're so happy you're with us today. So, I want to talk about something that I call the hidden barriers, the numbing and the distractions that keep us small. They keep us from that kind of fulfillment and realizing our potential. As we age, something interesting happens. Well, a lot of interesting things happen. We're told, we are told that life is about wisdom, expansion, and stepping into our fullest selves. Yet, many of us feel more limited, more distracted, and even stuck. Today, we're exploring what I call our numbers and our distractors, those quiet forces, not so quiet forces that keep us from our true potential. These are the beliefs, the habits, the patterns that convince us to play smaller, stay busy, or disconnect from our deeper power, love, and purpose. And most importantly, we're going to talk about how to recognize them and gently move beyond them. So, what are numbers? The mental matrix we use to limit ourselves. I'm too old, it's too late, I don't have enough time, money, energy. These are invisible ceilings we place on our lives. Numbers feel factual, but often they're emotional conclusions disguised as logic. And there are other things too. I'm going to talk a little bit more about things we do to numb, like addictions but I want to talk about that later. I want to talk about just what the distractors are now. The distractors are things that pull us away from being present and open to possibilities. Constant busyness. Can you relate to that? Pretty much. Yeah. Social media, news cycles, overconsumption, food, TV, scrolling, even overthinking and worry. It's all distractions. So we've got numbers that shrink our sense of what's possible and distractors that keep us too occupied to question them.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to do? So some common forms of numbing: staying busy to avoid deeper reflection, comfort routines that keep life very predictable. I mean, I know people who eat the same thing and do the same thing every day. Emotional avoidance, not wanting to feel fear or grief or longing. Addictions, food, drink, TV, social media, believing this is just how things are now. I never believe that. It may be how it appears, but I know there's
Yeah.
there's more. Numbing doesn't always look like shutting down. Sometimes it looks like staying comfortable enough to never grow.
Being complacent, yuck.
Complacent, being on a plateau, being on a plateau and not taking the next step. I remember when I was younger and I was doing all this stuff, and I remember feeling like there's something I needed. That was like I was at the edge of an ocean, but I wasn't getting wet. And then I found the yoga center, and I got
Wow.
wet.
Well,
Yeah.
you
I,
got drowned.
I got drowned. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, so there are aging perspectives that can be numbing to us. Society suddenly encourages numbing. Slow down. That becomes stop evolving. You know, that's what happens. Be realistic becomes don't dream. Why not?
Mm.
Why not dream? Everything's possible. A better perspective is aging isn't a closing, it's an opening into a deeper, more powerful version of yourself. If you stay awake, you stay awake. There were mystics. There was one named Gurdjieff, and he had this big auditorium filled with people waiting to hear him speak. And he got up in front of the room and he said, "Wake up." And that was it. He sat down.
And that was it.
That was it. That was it. That was it.
I drove 10,000 miles for that.
Yeah, I can't imagine how those people felt, but his message was clear. Wake up.
Wait. Yep.
Stop sleepwalking through life.
Yep.
What distraction takes away from us? It takes away our presence, our creativity, our intuition. our connection to others and to ourselves. Because if we're distracted, we're not making that connection.
Mm.
What distracts you directs you. Wherever your distraction's going, that's where you're going to go.
That's where your attention is.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Awareness comes first. So start noticing your numbers without judgment. Don't judge yourself. You know, we all have them. What do you tell yourself you can't do? And we were just before this talking about, you see my harmonium in the background. And I was always told not to sing. And I had that view,
I believe you.
that belief. And then someone, the yoga master, said to me one day, he said, I think you you just never learned to do this. I could teach you to sing. And I'm like, that would be horrifying. And so I talked to Kathy, and she had this wonderful singing teacher. And I went to him, and that was the first thing he said to me was, there's nothing mysterious about singing. It's just two things. It's the muscles memorizing the position and confidence. And that did it. I mean, I took those lessons and I was able to sing all kinds of things, and I loved it. And it opened a whole new world to me. I wrote songs. It was just a numbing belief. And as we get older, people put more numbing beliefs on us. Society does, and we need to not accept them. So what you want to do is interrupt the pattern. Like when you get aware, okay, I've got this number, and then pause when you start, like if you're kind of numb to something, you're reaching for a distraction to get busier to do this or that, ask, what am I avoiding right now? What is it I'm avoiding?
Yeah. I wish I could have done that when I was younger. There were so many years that I kept myself so busy and I couldn't see that the busyness was a distraction.
The busyness is a distraction.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
because I didn't know what I wanted.
yes.
So it was easier to focus on being busy.
And it gets worse as we get older because then we think, "Oh, we can't. So we just keep being busy.
Yeah.
Create space for stillness. This is one of the things you can do. Even if it's only 5 minutes a day, do some breathing practices or just try to sit quietly. Just quiet, that's all. Or walk without input, without phone or without talking to somebody. Just walk. Maybe breathe while you walk. There's walking practices where you do breathing as you walk. And I'm going to suggest a simple breathing practice, and then you sit quietly after that. And then a little later, there's a couple meditation practices that I think are very helpful. We'll do one of them a little bit later, but they're very helpful, even if you just need to do them for 5 minutes. It will get you into another place. Stillness is where your deeper life starts talking to you, your true self in there you start opening the door. So you got to get still. Because if you're mentally, emotionally, and physically busy all the time, you're not going to get there.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So breathing practice that I think is very simple, very easy to do. Diaphragmatic breath, inhaling, filling the abdominal area, the chest, the lower chest, lungs, upper lungs. And you inhale for a count of 4 or 5, and then you exhale twice as long. That is a great way to get into a still space. Do it for maybe 5 times. Let's do that right now. Let's just do that, and then towards the end we'll do that little meditation practice. So just you could close your eyes, take a nice deep diaphragmatic breath. Let's do it for 4, and then exhale for 8. Let's do 4 more of those. Exhale twice as long as your inhale. Do the count so you make sure you do it. Okay, just keep your eyes closed and sit for a few seconds. Okay, doesn't that feel better? Doesn't that kind of put you in a different place? So I would say if you can sit for 2 or 3 minutes after you do that, you you'll get into a whole different space. The numbers and the distractors will not have as much power on you. That's where you'll start hearing the call from your true self. So there's a few more things we can do. We want to replace our limiting narratives. I'm too old. It becomes I'm more ready than ever. It's too late. This is exactly the right time. I remember we were just talking about women's rights before this session, and I remember back when I was, you know, quite some time ago when I was younger, and we were just becoming so aware and part of the women's movement, and they had this vocabulary thing. If a man said it, it was assertive. If a woman said it, it was aggressive. And there were just a whole bunch of stuff like that. And that was such an eye opener for so many of us. Same thing. I'm too old? No. I'm more ready than ever. You're saying it's too late? No. This is exactly the right time. Whether it's you or someone else saying it. Choose expansion over comfort. Try something new regularly. Say, yeah, I like to anything you all do. I have a laptop and then I have a big monitor. So my big monitor fell down the other day. I mean, literally just fell off its stand.
Correct.
Fortunately, it didn't hurt my laptop, but it did break. And I had a warranty, but of course it was 4 months it's a 4-year warranty and it was almost 5 years old. So I had to get a new monitor. And what's interesting is my old one, I went right to come to the laptop and left to go to the monitor. Well, this one works the opposite way. And I thought, oh, great, that's a new thing to do. That's a really good thing, it's good to do it differently. Don't do the same thing all the time. Uh, so and say yes, try something new regularly. Say yes to something that scares you, but excites you. I mean, I'm not saying do something that's really scary, but something that, maybe you're a little afraid to do, but you're sort of excited to do it. I was afraid to learn to sing, but I was excited to learn to sing.
Yeah.
And, growth doesn't require a massive change. It's just a consistent willingness to do it. It's consistent. So we can open to greater love and compassion. I mean, the spiritual connection is really important. When we remove distractions and limiting beliefs, we're more present naturally, we're more compassionate, and we're more connected. And as that happens, our deeper nature comes through. So your nature isn't something you're creating, it's something that's there and you uncover it. And that's one of the things we learned in meditation and yoga meditation all along is that it's not about attaining something, it's about releasing the things that keep you from experiencing your true nature, the peace, the love, the joy that's there. So there's some nice practices to do. There's gratitude, be grateful. There's always things to be grateful for every day. Do acts of kindness to yourself and to others. Small acts of kindness make a difference. See others beyond roles and labels. Then you'll see yourself beyond roles and labels as well. And I'm recommending a short meditation technique. So I'm going to give you 2 options. We're going to do one of them now. One is the one that we're not going to do is to just sit there and just try to shed. Just try to do that breathing practice and then just as thoughts come, just since they're rolling off distractions and numbers, just since they're rolling off you, like they're rolling off the duck's back, just sit there for a few minutes and let that happen. But the one we're going to do today is just to help us get focused and still and centered. So I want you to pick an object, something you love that you're going to focus on for a few minutes. It could be a flower. When I first did this practice, I pictured this beautiful beach scene I've been at. But if you can't think of anything simple like that, do a candle flame or an apple. But a candle just, so we're going to close our eyes and we're going to focus on this object. And if your mind wanders, which it will, just gently bring your attention back. And maybe you'll stay with your candle flame or your ocean. And there it goes again. So just bring it back. Don't force it back, just gently bring it back. So we just did that for a minute or two, but do this for 5 minutes. If you can do it for 10 minutes, that's even better. Do it for 5 minutes. It will make a big difference. It can help you get in touch. It can help you uncover what's there. So take a moment to notice, what are my numbers quietly shaping my life? What distractions are keeping me from my deeper self? And then ask, what will my life feel like if I gently let go of those? Ooh, what would it be like? Truth doesn't diminish with age, it just becomes more available when you stop believing the things that say it isn't. Try it. Try it, you'll like it. Just let go. It's a lot of letting go.
Yeah. I'm gonna try letting go of doom scrolling
Yeah, yeah.
on my
I
phone.
mean, scrolling, social media, people are, no one can actually, stand in a line. Let's say they're standing in a line in a store. And, there was a time when people might talk to each other on that line, but now everybody's.
I know that always drives me
And
crazy. The
it,
room and everybody's looking at their
yeah,
phone.
yeah, it's a number. It's a number. It's one of the numbers because we're not connecting, we're not dealing. So, we talk about the kids, but we're all guilty of it.
We're very guilty of it. I think the kids, because a lot of them, when they're in the school, they don't have access to their phones. A lot of the schools are now saying, no, you got to leave those out.
Yeah, that's great
They're,
because they
yeah,
did. And
should
yeah.
that until I think at least they're 16, they shouldn't be on their phones. But
Mhm.
as adults, we're as addicted or more so than our kids are. And we need to learn, take it as an opportunity to learn to connect differently.
Yeah,
Maybe you weren't good at it when you were younger. Maybe you struggle with it, connecting to people one on one. So come back from the doom scrolling and start learning to do it in a new and creative kind of way. There's a
yeah,
challenge.
yeah. Try it to like it.
Try it to like it.
Mhm.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Thank you.
Well, I hope this is helpful to you. Please let us know, comment, and come to our YouTube site and like us and subscribe and tell your friends because if it's helpful to you, it's helpful to them. We really
Absolutely.
like sharing, so let us know what you want to hear.
Absolutely. Okay, everyone. See you next week.
Next time.
Bye.